Hi everyone, welcome back to the Strawberry Lowly channel and Merry Christmas! Or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa or whatever holiday you celebrate in lieu. Happy holidays! By this time you see this video, it will definitely be Christmas Day. Or fingers crossed that my speed editing skills will get us there in time. Do you like my Grinch jacket, by the way? Like, I am obsessed with this jacket, okay? It's actually cropped, if you can see.
Taxi! It's because I'm green, isn't it?
I'm so sad that I actually can't find many occasions to wear this jacket out in public. Like, the puffy parts are just too puffy to the point where they would just not look right under any type of overcoat or pea coat. But then it's not warm enough to wear on its own either, so yeah, it's kind of a bummer. Today I am finally reviewing the 2022 holiday palette by Pat McGrath. That comes in this cardboard box right here, and here is the actual palette. This is called the Mothership Mega Celestial Nirvana palette, a name that is as opulent as its presentation, okay? As you can see, it comes in this beautiful Versace-esque design. Does this not scream Versace to you? I mean, I know that this is also Pat McGrath's traditional design, but I feel like Versace still came first though. Like, if I was Versace, I might slightly consider suing. As you can see, it is traditional cardboard packaging with a magnetic closure. Very sturdy feeling. It does have a mirror inside, which I do appreciate, although I don't mind like the current eco trend of not including mirrors in palettes, because I feel like nobody really needs an extra mirror, but it's nice to have here. I don't know what I want to do with these velvet strips on the sides here. It's supposed to stop it right at like a nice angle for you to look into the mirror if you want to open it on your vanity and just leave it like this. But I feel like for me this is just like it feels in the way, so I don't know. I might cut them. Also, over time, I'm worried that pressure of doing this too many times is actually gonna cause the string to rip out. Although I guess if it really got ripped out, I could just glue it back anyway, but we'll see, we'll see. I'm not 100% keen on the stopper ribbon right here, but I appreciate the intention behind it, okay? So there are 18 beautiful, rich, pigmented shades in total, 9 mattes, and then 9 of these classic metallic shimmer shades. Some are shimmery than others. There are no special like duochromy or flip type shades in here. These are all just very traditional shimmery metallics. I think that's totally fine, but as long as you're aware, don't go into this thinking that you're gonna get any of those special, like out of this universe, like duo, trio, chrome, special metallic shades that I know Pat McGrath tends to feature in some of her more permanent palettes. Let me go ahead and walk you through how I achieved today's look with this palette first, and then I'll come back and give you my final short and sweet thoughts. I think you can already tell by my overall demeanor so far that it's gonna be a favorable review. But I want to address some common concerns I see that have been floating around about this palette in particular. So stay tuned for that, and for now let's get into the application. Alright, so I'm starting off with the darkest color, this True Matte Purple, and I'm just patting that all over the lower 1/3 of my eyelid, really hugging close to my lash line. See, that alone could just be a moment on its own, but no, we're gonna go all out today. So now I'm going to move into the second layer, or second story you could say, of the gradient that I'm trying to create, and I'm gonna first put on a really thin layer of this Flame Fatale, just the thinnest, most transparent layer I can manage. I'm not trying to build it up or make it opaque. The point of this shade is to tie together the pink and the purples nicely so that the look has harmony as a whole. Okay, so then on top of that, I'm gonna layer on the other purple shade in this palette. It is called Fabulosity. This is like a slightly more toned down, more neutral leaning than Violet Vixen. So yeah, I think like layering this on top of just where the first purple and that brick red shade meets will just ensure like a really smooth, seamless transition from the purple to pink. And then finally, taking like a soft but defined pencil brush, I'm now dipping into Venusian Peony and just blowing that out over the entire top of my eyelid. Then I took the tiniest bit of Nocturnal Navy, which is exactly what the name says, a really, really deep navy blue, and I'm just adding like the slightest sliver right near the lash line to make sure that this deeper end of the gradient is rock solid. And then as you can see, already on my finished eye. I'm going to copy this same gradient on the bottom lid, except this time I'm going in order of lightest to darkest shade because we have less space to cover on the lower eyelid. I probably could have done that for the top lid as well, to be perfectly honest, but don't mind me just overcomplicating things over here. Even adding a little bit of that navy. And then you see how I flicked it out ever so slightly on the outer edge. Instead of tightly hugging my lash line, I kind of let the line go straight as I moved outwards. That's a little trick I picked up on Douyin to help you elongate and open up the eyes a little bit more. Honestly, if there was like a 2022 overall makeup award, it needs to go to the Douyin girlies. I don't know what to tell you, like they practically invented a new sub-science of makeup techniques. Then I'm finishing off with this Lunar Lavender, really light metallic lilac shade on the inner corner here, and this is the only place that I'm adding any type of reflective shadow. The rest of this look is just a classic all matte look. I'm really into it. I have to say though that this Lunar Lavender shade is probably the one that I was most disappointed with. Even as I was swatching this palette initially on my arm, I could tell that this one was just not as vibrant as I was hoping it would be. There's nothing wrong with it per se, like it does actually look really nice with this particular look. I think just the simplicity of it all ties together, but I don't know, I was expecting a little bit more impact from Lunar Lavender. Okay, so here is my final look, inspired by the colors of, who do you think I'm gonna say? Obviously the Cheshire Cat, okay, the original queen of being unbothered. I absolutely love how this turned out. Not just the eyes, but the whole look. I think everything just works together so well. I was wearing like a nudie tan lip tint before, but decided to switch out for red, and I'm so glad that I did. I think purple eyes and red lips are such a siren-like combination. I never get sick of it. So yeah, I love both the simplicity and the boldness of this look. It's kind of funny because when you look at it, it really looks like I just only slapped two colors together on my lids, but you guys saw I used a bunch of shades. Hold on, let me count. So including the inner corner highlight, I used 6 shades in total. And yet it really looks like just the simplest two-toned, you know, pink and purple gradient combination, which I think is a testament to how good the palette is, like how well thought out and cohesive this color story is. So we're gonna get into that right now, actually, my final thoughts on this palette. Okay, so in regards to this palette in particular, this was something that I waited purposely for the Black Friday sale before I bit the bullet. By the time I'm reviewing it now, it's been out for several months already. I couldn't really avoid watching a bunch of other people's reviews first in the meantime. So yes, I committed the cardinal sin of a beauty YouTuber. I consulted other reviews before I formed my own unbiased, untarnished opinion. Usually I try not to do that, but I think this time it's actually better this way because there are mainly 2 points of contention that I found people kept bringing up over and over again in terms of their dissatisfaction with this palette, and I feel like I can address those very straightforwardly, pretty much just give the final verdict on those points, you know? So yeah, let's just get into it. First of all, I saw a lot of people were actually debating the price, which this retails for, $82 US. I saw so many people saying that, oh, it's overpriced, it's not worth it for what you get. Like the fact that the packaging is cardboard instead of plastic. I understand that the previous holiday palettes were in plastic. The amount of shadows, 18 in total, is not worth $82, etc, etc. From my point of view, just honestly speaking, I did not bat a single eyelash at the $82 price point. I actually think that it's a sickening deal to get 18 you know, generously sized pans of Pat McGrath, you know, made in Italy eyeshadows for that price. And part of that I think is definitely because, you know, I live in Japan, so I'm used to the, you could say, extortionist prices that they tend to charge for makeup over here. Okay, not just Japanese makeup, but like even K-beauty and Chinese makeup brands these days. The cost per gram is out of control over here, let me just tell you, but that's the way it is, you know? So even for so-called drugstore products over here, I am used to shelling out top dollar or top yen. Top gun? No?
Maverick.
Like for instance, this 3CE palette, which is another recent purchase, this retails for 5,200 yen, and that's already like 2/3 the price of this mega palette. And let's just assume for argument's sake that 100 yen equals $1 US, even though that is totally not reflective of the actual exchange rate right now, but just for comparison purposes. So $52, $82, the difference in amount of product that you're getting it's just incomparable, right? You could argue that I'm just traumatized by high prices, like Asian makeup pricing, to the point where I developed an indifference to high price tags as a coping mechanism. But at the end of the day, I think Pat McGrath's pricing as a brand absolutely checks out. In my personal opinion, they have consistently presented themselves as a luxury, higher end brand. So I don't really know what all the hullabaloo is about really over an $82 price point for a mega palette from a luxury brand. Makes sense to me. The second critique that I saw people make a lot was that there was nothing special enough about this palette. Like, it doesn't include Pat McGrath's signature dual chromes or special shadows. It's just traditional mattes and metallics. Again, kind of tying back to the not worth the price tag argument. I would have to disagree here as well, because I think the fact that it's made up of classic matte and metallic shimmer shades is upfront. Like, you know right away from reading the product description that that's what you're going to get. So there's no duplicity here on the brand's part. It's like, if you're down with what this palette have to offer, get it. If you're looking for something else, looking for a more va-va-voom special type of eyeshadow formulation, then you can go look elsewhere for that, you know? Maybe check out some of Pat McGrath's more permanent mothership palette offerings. I also find that with the higher end brands out there that offer rich, colorful eyeshadows, such as Pat McGrath or Lethal Cosmetics, you know, all of the pricier indies brands as well, I find that where the higher quality of those eyeshadows really shine through is consistently during the blending phase of eyeshadow application. I feel like all these great, affordable, fast fashion type brands out here, like, you know, ColourPop or BH Cosmetics, which I personally never tried, so I can't really speak to those, but those fast fashion type of brands, which may be able to give us great quality for the price, they may be able to match or even surpass, in some cases, the higher end brands when it comes to pigmentation, vibrancy, you know, reflectiveness of the shimmer type shades. But the blend is where the true test is, in my opinion, and a lot of those times the cheaper brands do tend to fall a little short in comparison. I do find that I can always pinpoint and tell the difference when I actually go to blend those eyeshadows together. And I use basically the exact same eyeshadow primer every single time. It's the Party Proof Primer by ColourPop. So I think, you know, my observation is very accurate and reliable, considering that this variable of the eyeshadow primer stays constant every single time. And this is not even like the best eye primer, to be honest with you. Far from it. You know, it's kind of dry and waxy, and it's really hard to get it to spread out smoothly sometimes, but nevertheless, I use it because it's what I have. So considering that this is a somewhat difficult primer in my book, the fact that the higher end brand eyeshadows almost always manage to blend beautifully over it, with the Celestial Nirvana palette being no exception, I think proves my point. Not only that, as you saw with today's, you know, pinky purple look, even similar looking colors do not run into each other or become muddy. They blend and layer exactly the way that I want them to, and they also stay put and don't budge in the places that I want as well. So with that being said, I am very, very happy and satisfied with this purchase. So glad I finally bit the bullet before it got sold out, which unfortunately it is sold out now. I just checked the website and I managed to save 30% as well, so what's not to love? Well, that's all I have for you today. I hope you guys are all having a wonderful holiday. Thank you so much for watching. Stay warm or cool, depending on which part of the world you live in, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!